this dude's threatening. I mean, there was an agenda behind it.
Sure.
And if you go back and look at the people that were interviewed into it, which I shouldn't say because it's just going to get more clicks and boost it back up, but I'll say it. We're the only two that were authorized to speak on the company. We made that very clear. But apparently, I made a critical error as a leader somewhere by not drilling that into her head that you don't do that. Like, you're not going to speak on behalf of this company. And so she used this idea of going to VetPaw, this opportunity to tell her social media following, which was somewhat, I mean, it was large at the time, but it was like, I don't know, 15,000 people or something. She told everybody she's going to Africa to do this. So it started garnering support and they want to do an interview on it. And the first question, or one of the questions they asked her was, so what are you going to Africa to do? And here it is. You ready? Kill some bad guys and do some good.
Oh, boy.
This is a diesel mechanic. She was a diesel mechanic. To say something like that as a diesel mechanic that has never taken a life or been in the position to take a life is so disrespectful to people like Danny Hall and all the other veterans that you've had on this show. And I'll even throw myself in there. And I didn't know about it until she was in Africa because that's when it aired. Mm-hmm. And when it did, people that had their own motives and did not like VetPaw exploited the absolute hell out of it. I refused to throw her by the wayside and just toss her because I don't know, just the Marine Corps, I'm all about accountability. And I don't want to, I saw that as an error in myself, which I shouldn't have. I really shouldn't have. But at the time, the veteran community was it was a big pissing contest. I'm better than you. No, that guy's not telling the truth. Stolen valor, this and that. And for a female veteran, even worse. And it's a flaw in me. Like at least at the time, I was overly emotional and too compassionate. And inside of me, I didn't want to leave her out to dry. I was like, hey, this is my fault. I couldn't have prevented it, but somehow it's my fault. And I didn't want to just leave her to.
That's a leadership quality.
I was about to say, that's taking full accountability for something that, you did let her into the organization, or you let her, behind closed doors, but to do something that was totally wildly out of line, that was totally untrue. It's just,
Yeah. And let me actually slightly defend her for a second and really defend you guys. It was very stupid, but she said it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like there was some story where some cowboy went out there and blew a couple people away, completely against orders or whatever.
She didn't do it maliciously.
Right. She wasn't standing over dead bodies smiling like Abu Ghraib or some shit. She said something stupid. The fact, though, that they ran with this in these stories, again, with people pumping them who don't exactly like you because, again, maybe on the other side of the issue, the fact that they ran with it as hard as they did and then labeled you guys from one quote of some chick, mercenaries, with no bodies in sight, nothing that ever said that you're not working completely in partnership with the governments who want you there, no ability for you to put out the clear facts, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you shared all the evidence and data of what you're doing and who you're working with some of these unnamed media outlets, we'll say.
100%.
And they still didn't publish any type of correction or even, not even correction, added to the record evidence of, hey, by the way, here's some context on what they do.
They refused. They said that it would be unethical for them to remove the article, but they'll do another article on us to show the real story. And I'm like, well, that's interesting because even today it pops up as the #1 news story in Google News.
Not for long. Not for long.
But it is interesting to see, and a lot of people that have never, taken a human life and then glorifying that, and then for people that have and the mental, strain or just it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
serious
Yeah.
issue, and this is something that, you know, to throw that out there so loosely like that, especially the way she did, and then the amount of, you know, longevity and the lasting power it has on Google right now is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, because man, like I said, I'm not a Bible thumper by any means. I'm a Christian person, godly, spiritual, whatever you want to call it. I try to practice every day in my life. After that article came out, I got bashed by the two most important professional communities of my life. Like I was literally the laughing stock of the veteran community and the conservation community.
That's so.
It was a
fucked up.
dark place for me, and I don't ever want to be the person that contributes to that of somebody else.
Yeah.
And so I say this because she, as a female veteran, on a tacticalshit.com interview, she was probably under a lot of pressure. She was probably saying what she thought she was supposed to say, and probably, like, you know what I mean? So I get it. It was a stupid thing to say. I understand probably why she did it, but yeah, it's those, I mean, the collateral damage with it. I mean, dude, I had quit my job. I was going through a lot of personal things. I mean, it was a very trying time for me. But, you know, I'll say this. Yeah, I would love for that article to go away because it should.
Mhm.
And it's disgusting. The journalist that wrote it had threatened our social media person to the point she was crying, said, "Oh, you have no idea what's going to happen if I don't hear from Ryan Tate." Meanwhile, I'm about to lose my leg from a spider bite, and I'm getting evac back to I could literally not. This before they even had Wi-Fi on planes.
Mm.
And this dude's threatening. I mean, there was an agenda behind it.
Sure.
And if you go back and look at the people that were interviewed into it, which I shouldn't say because it's just going to get more clicks and boost it back up, but I'll say it. Those people are gone. One woman, I had a restraining order on. She was a cyber stalker. No longer has a conservation organization because she's a fraud. I'll say that she's a bad person. And the other dude was pissed off. He's SEAL that his show got canceled because it was terrible. And they did a show on a real organization, and we got clearance to do it. His show wrecked South African security companies. Everything that they did was illegal. I was living in government housing, driving with government in government vehicles with government drivers. I had clearance, all of my paperwork, everything. I was deputized under their government, and a presidential invite. Show that to this news outlet, and they didn't give a shit. Didn't give
Agenda.
a damn.
Like you said.
Oh yeah,
Agenda.
no, it was a favor. Hey, bro, do this for me. Oh, you're a SEAL. I'll hook you up.
How many people did you have working with the organization at that time? This is late 2015, I think, right?
Yeah, so we had 6 of us in Africa, and then we had all volunteers back in the States running,
Okay.
Admin. And I got ditched by all the people in the States too when that came out. Oh yeah, yeah.
They ran for cover.
Oh yeah, they were like, "Peace out, we're out. Take us off the website." I was literally just.
Who were these people? Were they military
Oh,
associated?
one of them, she was working for the State Department. Maria, she helped me start the organization and believed in me, and it really sucked. It really sucked.
So sad when people gotta scurry off the ship because of how things look.
But I'll tell you this, bro. That article, now, I wear it as a badge of honor because I'm still fucking here.
Oh
I
yeah.
love that.
I'm in
How
this
did-
for the right reasons, and there's no
Fucking
doubt about it. I don't give a shit what it takes. I made the sacrifices. My veterans are still here. Our team is still here,
fucking
and
awesome.
nobody can argue with that.
How did you come out of that? Because this is early on. I mean, you actually had a few more people than I thought you did at that time. So, like, you had some size. Again, there's some things, by the way, today that Ryan can't divulge exact info, like exact places they are at all times. Some places you can talk about, but
Sure.
how many men they have in places, this is for intelligence reasons because a large part of what
OPSEC.
what VetPol does is intelligence. But, how did you, as a smaller organization, at least at the time, come out of that over the next 1 to 2 years and continue to build the organization? And how did it affect your relationship with the governments who did know the truth?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you this first. I'm gonna jump back a little bit.
Okay.
When I came back to the States, I was heartbroken.
Sure.
I remember my very close friend Dean Fiacco. Actually, you guys have met Dean, and his now wife at dinner.
Yeah. Great guy.
He sat down, and I remember this was tough for me. He just looked at me and he goes, "What the fuck happened?" And I explained it to him, and you could see he believed in me. He's always been one of my closest friends since I met him, but you could see it in his eyes, just like, "What the hell, dude?" And then going home and my mother saying, is this really worth it?
Mm.
And telling her right back without hesitation, you damn right it is.
I gotta double down. I gotta.
Fuck,
Yeah. Like
I'm as hard headed as my mother, and I know that she would do the same.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward, yeah, it sucked. We've dealt. I mean, I'm still dealing with it.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.